What a waste of money, Bloomberg. And again, the billionaires don't get it. The billionaires, the insiders, and the influencers are not going to determine who the next mayor of the city of New York is. Finally get it through your heads. You may have all the money. You may know Wall Street. You may know hedge funds, but you know nothing about the streets. You know nothing about politics when it comes to this race, because it's a generational shift. And these guys and gals have just not figured it out. And all the money in the world is not going to help their primetime candidate, Andrew Cuomo. And then we look at another poll. This time, Emerson. Wow, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down, I'm up. If you believe polls, and trust me, I don't, I'm surging. I'm up 11 percentage points. Cuomo is down, and Mamdani is crested over 50%. And I'm sure in the next 5 days, we'll probably have 2 separate polls a day as they try to put their input in from soliciting voters. The best way to solicit voters is what I've been doing. Yesterday, I spent a really good amount of time out in Staten Island, pressing flesh. You notice I took the 1 train down there, then I took the ferry, get a chance to talk to the voters. Then I went to the polling locations where people are showing up for early votes. And let me applaud all New York City residents, even if they're not voting for me. What a magnificent turnout. This is absolutely fabulous. I hope the inclement weather does not keep the voters away, because my whole focus has been democracy must prevail. One person, one vote. You have close to 5 million people who are eligible to vote. We, at cresting at this point, maybe 1.6. Who knows, maybe 2 million people will have voted. That's a really good sign. And like I said, even if they're not voting for me, this is a triumph for democracy. One person, one vote. And again, billionaires don't quite get it. They're not the shot callers in this election, not the influencers and not the insiders. So on with the victory as I crisscross the city today on the subway and at other events. And then obviously it's 20 hours of a 24-hour day campaigning till 2 in the morning and then rise and shine at 6. And that's how a campaign is supposed to be done. I would suggest Andrew Cuomo that he spend less time in enclosed meetings and actually get out there and press the flesh. He seems to have a phobia to be with average everyday people, and I can assure him, you're going to get people who flip you off, you're going to get people who praise you, but then you're going to get a lot of people who want to question you. That's part of the political process. Hopefully in the last 5 days, he can actually get his rear in gear and go out there and do a traditional campaign. I'm certainly doing it. And we saw that Zohran Mamdani did it in the primary. That's how he beat Andrew Cuomo. So it's to the voters to determine who the next mayor is. Any questions?
First, Andrew Cuomo is spending a lot of money at the end of this race through his own campaign and super basically telling New Yorkers that Mamdani is dangerous, taxes, devices, etc. To your point, is all of that spending on negative campaigning, is it working or is it backfiring?
No, it plays into the image of Andrew Cuomo. It's dystopian. It's upsetting. It's really negative. I mean, I guess he figures that's his only pathway to victory, is to put fear, fright, and hysteria into the voters. Well, he tried that in the primary and it didn't work. And I guess he's deciding in a 2-point strategy. Fear, fright, hysteria, and hype. It didn't work against Zohran Mamdani in the primary. When he first entered Andrew Cuomo on March 1st of 2025, he was 40% in the polls. 1% was Zohran Mamdani. And then he started all the negativity. And what did he get? 70% of the Democrats wouldn't even rank choices. So now he spends a good deal of his time trying to come over to Republican and conservatives and get the voters who would generally have aligned with me. What does that say to your base of moderate Democrats? Are you really more of a Republican and a conservative than you are a Democrat? So maybe he gains a few Republican and conservatives, but then he loses moderate Democrats because he keeps referring to Donald Trump wanting him to be the candidate. I deal with Democrats all the time. In our city, Donald Trump, our president, does not do well amongst the public. The country, yes, in other parts of New York State, but not New York City. So he can't split hairs. He's either a Democrat or he's not a Democrat. I understand why he wants Republican, conservative, independent voters. Everybody does. But he seems to be making a direct pitch to them that Trump has chosen him, anointed him as his preferred candidate. What does that say to his moderate Democrats? Who are like, yeah, but I'm not supporting Trump. So he creates a lot of confusion, and I would say it's just a gray cloud that hangs over his campaign. His unfavorables are high no matter what poll you look at, and that's really the key. Can you break down your unfavorables below 50%? And I think the baggage is too heavy in the life of Andrew Cuomo for him to be able to do that.
Yes, so what's your reaction to UVA endorsing Mamdani?
Excuse me?
UVA, United Banana Association?
Yeah. My very dear not friend, Fernando Mateo,
I ran against him.
was left on the outside looking in. Here's the guy who doesn't have his finger on the pulse of the people he's supposed to be representing. Remember, I crushed Fernando Mateo in the Republican primary in 2021 because he was a Bill de Blasio Republican. So here it is, the guy who's always the spokesperson for the bodega owners in New York City, of which there are many. I wish I had their endorsement. I deal with bodega owners all the time because of their problems. And the guy who's supposed to be speaking on their behalf is left on the outside looking in. And they're supporting Zohran Mamdani, who would promote, if mayor, more actions that would lead to more shoplifting, more problems for bodega owners. But I think it just shows you, and I've said this many times with 5 days left, politics is the dirtiest business that exists. It's comparable in many ways to organized crime, which I've battled over the years. The only thing you don't have are dead bodies. I'm sure the night before Fernando Mateo was having a great conversation with the president of the association. And then the next day, he finds out that they're having a press conference to endorse the guy that they blasphemed in the primary, Zohran Mamdani. Boy, pivots and shifts occur on a regular basis. Follow the money. Follow the money. That's what politics is all about.
Sir, if I could just ask you a question. Parents of students with disabilities are terrified because they're going to lose bus service starting as early as Monday.
Smarts your creamer.
The contract with the bus companies have not been signed. I wonder if you were mayor and if you were to win this race, how would you handle this and how would you deal with this really pressing problem of dealing with the busing of students with disabilities?
Well, I think it's incumbent upon the mayor to actually sit with the owners and operators and the union that represents the bus drivers and try to figure this out. They're saying they can't derive enough income to be able to provide the service. So I think mayoral intervention at the highest level of government could actually resolve this problem. Hopefully, our Mayor Eric Adams will do that.
Are you saying that more, let me just follow up, okay? If you're saying, are you saying that the city has to come up with more money to augment the profits of these bus companies so that students with disabilities will be given the services that they need?
Well, the bus companies have the city by the short hairs because the contracts are with outside entrepreneurs, outside businesses. So it's really incumbent. You made contracts with them. I know their locations in Queens and the Bronx. You have to sit down with them and you have to figure out what can you do and what can't you do. But this generally always happens. When people feel aggrieved that they're not making enough money, they threaten to withhold service. I would suggest to the bus owners, these are the children most in need. You know, show some compassion, show some empathy. How are they to get to school if all of a sudden you're not providing the bus service? This can be negotiated over time.
But the city is basically saying to the parents, we're going to give you Omni cards and other ways to take the subway. Do you think that's realistic for students with disabilities to get to their schools with a big far away? The subway, is there going to be the subway? Do you think it's really reasonable?
That is like the dumbest idea I've ever heard. You're going to take a child with disabilities. You're going to give them an Omni card. People who go to work every day who don't have any handicaps whatsoever are afraid to take this over. Now you're going to force children, some of them with severe disabilities, I've been on some of those buses, and you're going to tell their guardian or parent or maybe older brother or sister, here, we're giving you an Omni card. Take the number 4 train to Motors Express to their school. No. That is absolutely the dumbest idea that I've ever heard. As a mayor, you immediately prioritize this. Eric Adams should stop taking his newfound friend Andrew Cuomo, that he called a snake and a liar, around in his arms and bringing him to the SATMAR and bringing him to other groups and encouraging them to endorse Cuomo. He needs to do the job of being mayor. I understand he's one and done, but he's still the mayor. And if he personally gets involved, I think you'll see this result.
So I'm coming from France. Thank you. People all over the world are watching this election. In the radicalization of the democracy, at one point, will you give up to allow Cuomo to have some of the votes, which is happening in some elections in France, where you have far left or far right competing?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm not far right.
Just asking me some
If
questions.
anything, there are people on the right who are not at all happy with me. I'm the only candidate who's right down the middle.
But will you give up to,
No,
at one point?
no, please. I respected French. I've been to France. I see their judicial system. There are things we can learn from them. Their political system. But then again, if I'm incorrect, you got a prime minister who just resigned, and Macron brought him back. That gives me vertigo. So France has its way of doing things. Other countries, they have a parliamentarian procedure. Ours is one person, one vote, and I believe we let the people determine. This game of dropout, I've never heard of this before, to be honest with you, especially from a mainstream party that I represent, the Republican Party. In the history of American politics, generally it's independent candidates who drop out. Never heard a mainstream candidate say, oh, in this case, the Republican dropping out, let the Democrats finish the job of destroying the city. Because I don't view any difference between Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani.
You have a lot of media hits on your schedule today. How exactly are you going to find the time to talk to voters on the subway? And when was the last time you patrolled the subway with the target?
I have a lot of, say that one more time. Yeah.
On your schedule today. So
Well, you
are
stop and go. You leave the subway, you come back. You leave the subway, you come back. I have not patrolled with the Guardian Angels since I announced that I was running for the mayoralty back in, I think it was middle of February.
Yeah, everybody's talking about that you should drop out, but you've proven in 2021 that you have some good coattails. I think you have a lot more enthusiasm than Joe Lhota did, for example. Obviously, there are a lot of flips back in 2021, less attention on this election. So what down ballot races are you looking at that you think you might empower just being on the ballot?
Well, that's an excellent question because I am at the top of the ballot for all Republicans running. So if suddenly I had a drug-induced psychosis and decided to drop out, I'm hurting everybody who's running. Public advocate, controller, borough president, especially city council. We have some really important city council races where if I dropped out, it might mean that people will not vote for them because they're not going to play bingo. First of all, they got to go in there, they got to find Andrew Cuomo on this ballot. It's very confusing, it's like a maze. And then all of a sudden you think they're going to go back to the Republican column and finish it. And then also I'm the only candidate against the city of yes. So when you flip over the ballot, I'm constantly campaigning and saying vote no on all the initiatives and referendums. Cuomo's in the back pocket of the developers. He said vote yes. And Zohran Mamdani, depending on the day, and his word salad of the day, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, yes, no. But we know he's in favor of the city of yes. I'm the only one from day one who's not only said I'm opposed to the city of yes, and I campaigned as I was last night to Bronx homeowners till late at night, but also I'm a plaintiff in the case in Staten Island to repeal it. So I don't just say it, I don't just promote it, I'm actually involved in the case. And when I'm mayor, We shut it down. We slow it all down. The city of yes, that is Eric Adams' last present to his developer friends who wine dined the pocket line. It's Eric Adams gone wild, and it's city of yes on steroids. These initiatives and referendums. And by the way, people have said, how are you going to work with a predominantly Democratic city council? Well, guess what? The city council made a Democrats agrees with me. Vote no on the city of yes. No, I didn't quite hear you.
I said, we assume you're not going to have any kind of
Right. Well, let me just address that. There's only one way that I would not be relevant is if when I go topside intermittently, today I get hit by a Mack truck and I'm in ICU with ER. And people will still vote for me because guess what? I'm still on the Republican line. And by the way, if somehow I would decide, oh, let me have a press conference with Andrew Cuomo who destroyed the state and all of a sudden I'm going to let him destroy the city. You know, most of the people who are loyal to me, and they've been loyal for a long time, they're just not going to vote. So this whole concept that if you drop out, people are going to vote for you. If you believe in the polls, look at the Emerson poll. Oh, all of a sudden Curtis is surging. Now, which poll are you going to believe? The one you want to believe, that promotes Cuomo, or the one that says Sliwa is actually surging? I don't believe any of the polls. I believe the people because I'm in the streets, I'm in the subways, and I'm on the ferry, I'm on the express buses, I'm on the regular buses. That's how you get a feel. Trust me, I'm the most visible person out there. You can spot me a mile away with that red beret. If there was this tsunami of people yelling at me, drop out, just ain't happening. It ain't happening. Any other questions?
One last one. I'm curious with the councilwoman switching sides and Lawler, for example, do you see endorsing them for re-election or for higher office in the future, or do you feel like you've moved on from supporting those people who have switched over from you?
No, I'm not like Andrew Cuomo. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. The prince of the blood feud and vendetta. They're free to do whatever they want. It's part of a democracy. I got to tell you, they're not responsible for getting people to the ballot box and voting. You have to have a get out the vote effort, and it had to have started 3 months ago. Zohran's did. I run into the Zohranistas all the time out there. Our people are out there. They've been out there for 3 months, knocking on doors, door hangers, lit drops, phone calls, emails, snail mail, and then of course text and follow up. Cuomo's just starting that now. I got to tell you, he did that 3 days before the end of the primary with the unions. And what did it get him? Buckets. You have to have a get out the vote effort at least minimally 3 months before the final day of election. And for some reason, Andrew Cuomo, who's considered this, this lifetime political apparatchik, which he was to his daddy starting at 19, does not seem to grasp the fundamentals of basic retail politics. A, get your butt out into the streets and press flesh, and yeah, people are going to scream invectives at you. That's part of the political process. Zohran has gotten it. The one time he went on the train, what happened? People said, yeah, it's Zohran, F you, Nazi. This is New York. He seems to want to be immunized from that. And number two, it's incredible that his get out the vote efforts are so late in the process of a campaign, especially with early voting already having started. On Saturday, I was the first to cast my vote at the Museum of Natural History, where Nancy and I are registered on the Upper West Side. There's a nice flow of people. And again, I think today, with 5 days left and clement weather today, I just want to encourage as many people to vote as possible, even if you're voting for my adversary. This is a tremendous positive signal for democracy and people power. They're actually going to the polls to vote because precipitously voting totals have been plummeting every 4 years in mayoral election. I hope we can get it up to where Rudy and David Dinkins were in '89 when Rudy lost, 60% of eligible voters voted, and when Rudy won, 57% of eligible voters. That would be a nice parting compliment to New York City residents to say they didn't just watch, they didn't just complain or support, they actually scraped the barnacles off their backside, got their rear in gear, and went to vote. Years ago, when Rudy ran against Dinkins, it was no early voting. One day, an absentee ballot. Now, we have this extended voting period that makes it relatively easy for everybody to cast their vote. And they should, even if it's not for me.
You need support from Democrats in order to win. What's your message to them in the final days of the election?
It's a good question.
Well, I do have Democrats. Bob Holden, who is the senior Democrat in City Council, leads Democrats for Sliwa. So there are a lot of blue-collar, working-class Democrats who are not enamored, obviously, with Zohran Mamdani, and not enamored with Andrew Cuomo, especially if they're civil servants, Tier 6, 50A. I can go through all the arguments that union men and union women have against Governor Cuomo. They imposed on them when he was governor. They don't forget because they see it in their paycheck. So I think they're going to see a sprinkling of moderate Democrats. But again, everybody is ignoring the independent line that my wife Nancy went out and got the signatures for with others to qualify. It's the first independent line. You can't even find Andrew Cuomo in the main. First independent line you're going to see is protect animals. Animal shelters will be no kill in New York City, and animal abusers will go to jail. But boy, that resonates with a lot of people, and there are some people who are single issue voters. First time this has ever been tried. Obviously, I have a long history with the animal welfare community, my wife much longer. And we'll see if it resonates to getting people to actually cast for me on an independent line. A lot of people will never vote for me as a Republican. One thing that is common, everybody loves Curtis. It's like everybody loves Reagan. They say, oh, we love you, Curtis, but you're a Republican. I can't vote for a Republican. Okay, so now you have an alternate choice. If, because of the way you were brought up, you were taught never to vote for a Republican, vote for me on the independent line, protect animals. And we'll see if Nancy's hard work and all the animal welfare folks' hard work pays off in the end by people deciding, okay, I can't vote for him as a Republican, but I'll vote for him on the protect the animals.